Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 16th Sunday in Ordinary Time. And I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm actually going to focus on the second reading from Colossians today because it's so important. And I know you've heard me talk about it before, but we're going to dive in this time, not to the exclusion, of course, of the gospel. We've got the Martha Mary thing going on, and one is sitting and praying at the feet of Jesus. The other is doing all the work. And we know we've got to strike a balance there, but indeed Mary has chosen the better part. And then in the first reading, we see the three visitors that Abraham has, and that's often interpreted by many church fathers and saints as the Holy Trinity. And this is captured beautifully in the icon by Andrei Rublev. So you can Google that if you want to. You can Andrei Rublev, look up that icon and look up some explanations of it. It's really good. And then there's a movie out there by the name of Andrei Rublev, and it was made by someone who was making it in the Soviet Union, and it was actually banned for a while because in the Soviet Union, you're not supposed to talk about God, this, that, and the other thing. And it's a beautiful movie that's trying to, I think, bring God to the Soviet people at the time. But our second reading is what we're going to focus on. It says, "Brothers and sisters, I now rejoice in my suffering for your sake, and in my flesh I am filling up what is lacking in the afflictions of Christ on behalf of his body, which is the church." What could have possibly been lacking in the sacrifice of Jesus Christ? In a certain sense, nothing. But in another, if you will, Jesus left a space for us to offer up our suffering. And this is what the Mass is all about. I mean, this is really what we, as Catholics, we're members of the body of Christ. Since we're baptized, we are priests, prophets, and kings. And what does a priest do? A priest stands before God and man, okay? A priest is offering the sacrifices on behalf of the people to God, all right? He stands as a mediator. Okay, now there's one mediator, Jesus Christ, of course, but this is the misunderstanding that many people have. Jesus asks us to participate in this mediation, because otherwise we wouldn't be baptized. Otherwise we wouldn't have any participation. We would just be bystanders. But that is what we are. We are transformed from the inside out in baptism, and we're given this dignity as priests. And when we come to the Mass, it's not just, I'm a priest, I'm called to the altar, but I'm not the only one offering the perfect sacrifice to the Father. So at Mass we have Calvary, we're at Calvary, and Jesus offered the perfect sacrifice of himself to the Father, and we're made present there. But the space that's left open is for you and me to offer up all of our pain and our suffering and everything that we need to offer for Jesus. And this makes sense about the obligation of attending Mass every Sunday, okay? It's not because it's just a requirement and everyone needs to do it, this, that, and the other thing. It's because we're not meant to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. All the pain and suffering that we've gone through, we're not supposed to have that on our shoulders for weeks, months, years, decades, our entire life. At least once a week, we bring all of that and we offer it up at the altar through Jesus to the Father. Through his sacrifice on Calvary, we are offering everything that we've gone through, our sufferings, and all the things that we can't understand, and the things that are weighing us down, and the things that are causing so much distress and anxiety and hatred and fear. All of those things are meant to be offered once a week at the Mass. So then we're perfectly empty. And then we can be filled with Jesus in the Word, his Word, and in the sacrament, his body and blood of Christ, the body and blood of Christ, right? And then we're renewed and rejuvenated with everything we need. And then we go out to the rest of the world and we proclaim the good news. And hopefully through evangelization, we bring more people into the doors who also need to offer up their joys, their works, their sorrows, and their sufferings, right? And through being evangelized and brought into the community and then becoming part of the body of Christ themselves, then they can offer all that up in union with Jesus on the cross to the Father, perfectly emptying all that out. and then be filled, and then they go out and so forth. It's like the rhythm of the heart, the Sacred Heart of Jesus, right? Being sent out, and then being drawn back in to be given the nutrients, and then sent back out. And this is the rhythm really of the cosmos. This is the rhythm of how we should all be. Okay, and so that's what St. Paul means by I'm filling up what is lacking in the sacrifice of Christ. Okay, and it's just so beautiful, but it's often forgotten. Okay, and so sometimes we just prefer to carry our suffering with us. It sounds strange, but sometimes the truth seems to be too good to be true, right? And we've just gotten used to our sufferings, to mediocrity, to just surviving rather than thriving. But if we start to remember at the Mass to bring our sufferings there, Jesus wants to take that suffering from us. That's part of what he did on the cross, right? He's trying to do that to give us a way to offer our sufferings up through him. That's what we are. We're Christians. We're little Christs. To bring all that as a perfect sacrifice to the Father, and then to be filled with him. So as we approach the table of the Lord today and we receive Jesus, let us remember that there is no such thing as wasted suffering. And if we've forgotten to do it, well then now remember this time that whatever it was, that trauma, that abuse that happened as a child, the abandonment we felt in our teenage years, the loss of a child, the loss of a spouse, the loss of our parents, these things that are just devastating, experiencing war, experiencing addiction, all these things can be offered at the Mass. And please, I beg you, do it so that we can start becoming free and become the creation that God has called us to be, so that one day we may see him in heaven face to face.